Hello, and welcome to the Wool and Twine Fiber Studio YouTube channel. My name is Jule, and I'm the dyer and maker behind Wool and Twine Fiber Studio, which is a small creative space located here in northern Germany, where I play with botanical dyes and natural yarns. Welcome back to a new episode and a new preview video, I guess. And if you're new here, a warm welcome to you. I'm so glad that you found your way to my little corner of the internet. I want to present what I have been working on for the past couple of weeks to you and show you all of the colorways that I'll have available for the January collection, which is going to launch next week, which would be the 30th of January 2026 at 8 p.m. CET. Wow, I can't believe it's already 2026. It kind of feels unreal. But yeah, I have been working on creating a new collection of botanically dyed yarns for the past couple of weeks, and I'm finally ready to share it with you. Um, it's been a busy couple of weeks, so apologies for the not so frequent updates on the dyeing process. Um, but yeah, there was just a lot going on, but I'm finally ready to share everything with you. And I guess without further ado, let me give you a bit of an overview of what bases we'll have available. So, first of all, I'll give you a bit of an overview of what kind of yarn will be available for this collection. Then I'll show you all of the colorways, and at the end of the video, there will be a bit of an admin section. And I will also put some timestamps down below just so you can be jumping through the sections and, rewatch wherever you might be interested in the content. However, for this launch, there will be a new base coming, and I'm super excited about this. So I guess there will be a full video about this base, and I'll link it in whatever corner it will pop up. Um, I will link it, and I will explain a bit more of the backstory and how it came to life. But I will also give you a super quick and brief overview of the base, just so you can have an idea in this video as well. But I highly recommend checking the other video out just because it's, much more extensive and gives you a way better overview of how I envisioned it and how it came to life. And I guess that's usually quite interesting, I hope. If not, I'll also give you the specs in this video, but I highly recommend watching it because I'll also share some um, the sample that I'm actually currently wearing with you and, show some more details which might be interesting and give you a better idea of how this yarn behaves. But without further ado, let me show it to you. So this one is the new base, and it's called Solace, inspired by the moment of calming and soothing and, gentleness. Just because this yarn was actually designed to be incredibly gentle and soft to the skin. Um, and it kind of, gave me this calming and soothing vibe. So I decided to call it Solace. And it will be available in two weights. This one is the sport weight. Yes, we are having a sport weight yarn finally. And then this one is the worsted weight version. So yeah, slightly different change of things this time. However, this is mainly because of the special makeup of this yarn and the special behavior, if I may say so. Because this new blend is a blend of 75% rambouillet and 25% BFL. So the rambouillet is actually a merino crossbreed. I will have a bit more of like the sheepy fleece backstory content in the intro video about the base. However, rambouillet is incredibly springy and at the same time has a relatively short staple that is just very bouncy and super, super soft at the same time with a really low micron. Little disclaimer here. I know I'm referencing the term soft or like softness while describing this yarn. However, please keep in mind that this is a very sensitive and subjective topic. So it's highly individual how you feel a yarn. So what might feel soft to me might not do so for you. So this is always a bit of a tricky thing because it's a very subjective topic. And while I often get questions about is yarn XYZ soft or which of your yarns is the softest, this is very hard for me to answer because to me, Most of our yarns are pretty soft. However, some people are more sensitive than others. Plus, I think there are different types and characters of softness, which I will get to in the intro video a bit more in depth. But um, technically, I would say this is one of our softest yarns to date. However, it's a certain type of softness. So while I would also say that nurture is one of our softest bases to date, it's a very fuzzy and fluffy yarn with a lot of halo, whereas this one has more of a sleek softness to it with pretty much no halo at all. It's almost, I don't want to say cottony because it definitely doesn't feel cottony or anything, but you know what I mean? It doesn't have any halo or so. It's more of like a sleeker surface. However, I wouldn't also describe it as sleek because what it really, really is bouncy, because you can even see it when I squish the yarn. It's so squishy and bouncy, um, and so much fun to knit with, honestly. But that is also the reason why, meterage wise, it's kind of on the fence between DK, in this case, DK and worsted, and then fingering and sport. However, knitting up gauge swatches and, having this sample knit as well, I definitely came to the conclusion that this is more of a heavier yarn due to its plump and bounciness, honestly. I mean, technically, you can also knit it at a even tighter gauge. However, it might result in a more, I don't want to say stiff, but kind of like spongy fabric that's very tight. So for my liking, I would technically consider these a sport weight, despite it being 350 meters per 100 grams. And I would consider this one a worsted weight, despite it being 230 meters per 100 grams. So technically, this is very beneficial for, the economic aspect, because you can actually get more yardage out of the yarn despite knitting it on a slightly larger gauge, which I think is quite beneficial, I guess. But yes, this one is the new base. I'll show it to you one more time close up, and it's just very nice. I think it's very, very nice and bouncy, and I'm actually wearing it right now. In knit up into a sample that is the Lulu slip over by Petite Knit, and I'll make sure to also show you some more snippets of it in the preview video. So if you want to see more of it, definitely check that video out. But yeah, this is the new base so far, and I'm incredibly excited to show it to you more in depth in the dedicated preview. I guess for now, I will transition into showing you the colorways that I dyed on this new base. So for the colorways, I will, because you really feedback me that you liked it when I did it the last time, I will show you both of the weights side by side because they have a slight difference in plies. So the sport weight version has 2 plies, whereas the worsted weight version has 3 plies. So it's slightly different, and I will show them side by side just to give you the best idea. So starting off with this one is called Almond, and it is just a beautiful, soft, and warm beige. I'm not sure if we are actually getting a little bright over here. So this one is Almond, and it's just a soft, beautiful, elegant beige that I wanted to make because I also think this yarn is very suitable for color work knitting. So I thought, this is a great base to combine with different shades for a color work project. So this one is Almond, and here we have the sport weight version, and then here we have the slightly heavier worsted weight version. Next up we have another more on the softer neutral-ish range shade, and this one is Powder, and it is a soft, light, rosy beige, if I may say so. So this one is the sport weight version, and then this one is the worsted weight version. This one is called Powder. This one is called Crocus, and it is a nice medium saturated lavendery purple. Oh, I'm showing them the wrong way around, sorry. So this one is the sport weight version and this one is the DK weight version. You can also see that they differ ever so slightly from weight to weight. And that is the thing that I always mention when I talk about natural dyes, is that they can, differ from lot to lot. So that is why I always recommend organizing your projects before you start shopping, just because, even if I have a colorway, the next update, it might not be the exact same, because literally from one pot to another, there can be a slight difference. And you can see that in some of the shades even. So yeah, here we go. This is the colorway Crocus. Kind of spring inspired already. Next up, we're going into kind of the greenish shades. And this one is called Thistle. And it is something between a light green and even a lavender. It's very hard to capture on camera, but it's very pretty. And I think it's leaning more towards a green, but it also hints a super slight purple in some lights. And I think it's very fascinating. Really liking this shade. So this one is called Thistle, and this one is the sport weight again, and then the worsted weight. Next up, we have, let me put them the right way around. This one, and it's called Forest. It shows a little bit more muted on camera because greens are incredibly hard to capture, I feel. This one is called Forest, and it is like a saturated medium green. This one is on the sport weight, and then this one on the worsted weight version. So yeah, this one is Forest. Next up, we have another relatively similar shade, and this one is called Moss. It's a bit more yellowy and lighter than Forest. This one is the sport weight version, and then this one is the worsted weight version. And I'll also try to hold them up side by side, just so you can see them in the end. But I have a third shade that goes into this kind of category, and this one is Olive, and it is like a yellowish, mustardy, olivey shade that I absolutely love, and I'm having a hard time passing with this one because for some reason I think I would actually love a garment out of this. But yeah, trying to be good and not snag too many skates for myself. So yeah, next, let me try to hold the sport weight version side by side. So here we have Olive, Moss, and then Forest is this one. Hope you can get an idea of the different shades. Next up, we are working our way into the brownish and reddish categories. So this one is Clove, and it is a nice medium warm brown. This one is the sport weight version, and then the worsted weight version. I love this one so much. I think it's so nice. So this one is Clove. Next up, we have our classic Pumpkin, which is an orangey rust shade. This one is on the sport weight, and this one is on the worsted weight version. And I think this one is also very nice all year round. I like this shade very much, so I dye it quite often, I guess. So this one is Pumpkin. Next up, we have a few red shades that are, some of them are slightly similar, so I'll try my best to hold them up together again. So starting with this one is called Dahlia, and on this base it turns out so nice and almost like a bricky type of red. So this one is Dahlia on the sport weight, and then we also have it on the worsted weight yarn. So this one is Dahlia. Next up, we have also kind of turned into a classic, and this one is Berry Jam. It's a bit more pinkish in undertone than Dahlia. However, it's also in like the red-pink world. This one is the sport weight version, and then this one is the worsted weight version. Next up, we'll have the colorway Mulberry, and this one is even darker than the other two, a bit more in the Bordeaux kind of region. This one is the sport weight version, and then this one is the worsted weight version. It almost has a bit of variegation, which I find very pretty. So yeah, this one is Mulberry, and then last but not least, here you can actually see the effect that I was mentioning, that natural dyes are varying from lot to lot sometimes. So this one is Cabernet, and you can see like this one is the sport weight version, which has a lot more purple. And this one is the worsted weight version, which is slightly less purple, despite them being dyed the exact same way. So yeah, that is the beautiful wild nature of plant dyes, I guess. So this one is Cabernet on the spot weight and then on the worsted weight version. And now to kind of assist you choosing, I will be trying to hold them all up together. So this one is the spot weight version. And from left to right, we have Dahlia, Berry Jam, Mulberry, and Cabernet. Was it left to right? So, well, this one is Dahlia. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad at imagining which way around it goes. But yeah, those were all the pink and purple shades. And then last but not least, we have one more colorway that is called Maroon. And this is a very deep brown. Oh, sorry, I'm holding them the wrong way around. So this is just a deep reddish brown. And this one is the spot weight version again. And then this one is the worsted weight version. So yeah, this one is Maroon, and it might be one of my favorites from the collection. I think I would love to have, maybe I'll snag one skein for an accessory or so. Let's see. But yeah, so far about the colorways. As said, we will obviously also have the undyed shade available, which is this one. And it works very well with different shades as a colorwork base. Same goes for the almond colorway. So I hope that you'll be able to pick the right shade. As mentioned, I would think it's very good for colorwork just because of how much it blooms and fills in any holes and gaps. I will show more swatches and the sample close up in the preview video, so I'll recommend you watch that one. Not preview, intro video about the base. But I don't want to bore you with like repeating everything twice, so I won't do it in this video again, but it's, you know, you block it and it really blooms like into any kinds of gaps, and it makes a very unified fabric. It gets so even, so I think it's also a great beginner yarn in that sense. But yeah, that's why I think it will also be great for color work, because it's so bouncy and, you know, it would result in a really even fabric, I would assume. But yeah, we will have one more thing to launch, or not launch, but we have one more yarn to restock, and that is this one. It's our Rift base. So this one launched in the last update, I think in November. And this one is woolen spun, very beautiful blend of different old merino cross breeds. So I also have a full video on this base that I recommend you check out. However, we will restock the undyed colorway that is called Sandstone. So for this update, we will have a smaller quantity than last time, just so you know, and I'm restocking this for this update as well. So now that we are done with the yarn part of the preview and you know what's coming in terms of yarn, I also have prepared something for my spinning friends. As you might know, last year I have dabbled into learning how to dye spinning fiber, which with natural dyes is a bit of a, let's say it's a process. It's not that easy to do. But I finally found a way on how to do it. And I decided, because I absolutely love this super unique blend of yarn or of fibers, I was thinking, why not having some spinning fiber in the same blend? So we will also have, I will show them next to each other. We will not only have the yarn in the solace blend, but also the spinning fiber. So this one is how it looks in spinning fiber form. This one is the solace blend in its undyed state. Um, and just a little disclaimer, when you're shopping the update, please double check and maybe use the filter function in the shop, because I've had people who were thinking, because I twist the fiber in this way in order to make it possible to ship it in a more um, sustainable way, because otherwise fibers can be very, very voluminous. I decided to twist it into a similar shape to yarn so I can actually make the most and fill the boxes the most efficiently. So just make sure that you're not accidentally buying fiber when you're looking for yarn. I just wanted to give this little disclaimer out there. However, this is the Solace blend in its undyed state. It has this beautiful heathering throughout, and it's just so incredibly, you can see like how squishy it is, and at the same time what a beautiful sheen it has. It's a delight to spin. I've only managed to spin a couple of meters of my test spin, so I haven't put it off the bobbin yet, so I can't show you. However, I can tell you that it's very springy and super enjoyable to spin. And I would assume myself, I'm not really I would maybe say I'm an intermediate spinner. I'm definitely not very advanced, however, maybe a bit more than a beginner, but I would say this is also very beginner friendly because it's not too long of a staple that might be difficult to draw in the beginning, and also not too short at the same time. So I think it's a very nice blend also if you're slightly newer to spinning. But yeah, this one is the undyed shade. But obviously I also did my best and dyed a few naturally dyed colorways on this fiber blend. So this one is green apple, and it is just, a nice variegated green. All of these shades on the fiber, I dye them purposefully in the way that they are not solid, because I think it's way more fun to spin variegated fibers and, have the outcome of the, hand spinning effect a bit more. So I purposefully dye them in a bit more of a variegated way. This one's green apple, and I think it's just really fun and, spring-like almost. Next up, we have this one, and it's called Squirrel. And this one is mostly rusty brown shade with flecks of, gray and yellow throughout. So this one is called Squirrel. I love this one so much, honestly. Then next up, we have this one, and it is called Caramel, and it is the slightly less red version of Squirrel, I would say. If I hold them side by side, you can see that Squirrel is a bit more reddish in undertone, and then Caramel has more honey tones and is a bit more brownish overall, I would say. Next up, we have Orchid, which is this beautiful pink that ranges from slightly more saturated pinks to these more lighter pinks, and yeah, should give a nice variegation throughout a skein. So this one is Orchid. Next one is Oxalis, and this one is so nice. Look at how many shades it has. Like, it has some deep reddish browns, and it has these real red flecks and a lot of purple and burgundies. So I think this one is very fun to spin. I can only imagine. I have not tried it yet, but I can only imagine it's really fun to spin. So this one is Oxalis. Next up, we have Mustard, which is this beautiful mustardy browny yellow that has so many flecks throughout as well. So yeah, this one is called Mustard, and I really, really like this one as well. And then last but not least, we have Rowan, which is the spinning fiber take on our kind of like popular reddish tone that we had in the I think November collection last time. So this is like a red that pulls into pink in some places, but it's mainly relatively reddish colorway. So this one is Rowan. And yeah, I guess that is it for the spinning fiber section as well. I really love how this one is spinning, and I can't wait to get my hands on, finishing up my sample and finding some time maybe on the weekend to do so, because it's very, very fun to do. And yeah, I should maybe mention all of these little bumps of fiber. They are all 100-gram plus. I weigh them by hand from a continuous sliver. So they are all, varying a little bit just because they're weighed in by hand, but they are all a minimum of 100 grams. So they should be like relatively generous. And yeah, I think they are incredibly fun to spin. They are the same fiber blend as mentioned, so 75% rambouillet and then 25% brown BFL. And this is the only batch I have for now, so I won't be able to restock it, I guess, for this year probably, just because I only, I'm still kind of new to the whole spinning world and making spinning fiber available, so I don't have a huge stock of undyed fiber yet. Plus, I always get them custom made for me, as all of my bases are also custom spun for me. All of my blends are custom made for me. So I need to, be mindful about what I'm getting and, just test the water still, I guess, with the whole spinning thing. So this is the only batch that I have for now. And I know it's fairly small, but yeah, just wanted to also see how you will receive it and if you will like it. So if you would like to get your hands on some of the fiber, I guess it's better to be on time for the update, which also brings me to the last section of the video, which is about admin and how to shop and, all that jazz around the update. So, as mentioned, all of the fibers and yarns that I just showed you will be going live on January 30th at 8 p.m. CET in my shop. I will link everything down below. And if you like, you can also sign up for my newsletter, because I'm sending out a newsletter to remind you whenever the update is live. So right at the spot at 8 p.m., you will have a newsletter in your inbox that you can have as a reminder that the launch is live. I know it can be tricky with time zones and such, so I hope this little reminder can help a little bit. But yeah, I already mentioned in the section before that especially the spinning fiber supply is relatively limited. And I will not be able to restock it at least for half a year, potentially for all of 2026, because I have so much planned already that I'm not really sure when I would squeeze in another order and, have another batch of the fiber done. So if this sounds like something you would like to get, I recommend being on time for the update, which, generally is a thing that I always recommend if you're eyeing a certain colorway and you want to make sure that you can get the right amount that you need for your project. I always recommend to check in time for the update. And yeah, then we'll start packing potentially on the weekend already. So in case you want to have any kind of, additional skeins added to your order after placing, I'm monitoring my emails during launch and also the day after. So if you have anything you would like to add to your order, or there is an issue with your shipping address, anything, just email me and I should be getting back to you relatively quickly. If you end up placing more than one order, please, please, please email me about it, because as mentioned in previous videos, I cannot filter double orders automatically. So if you don't email me about it, you will risk that I'll send it in two orders still and not combine them. Sometimes I see them, but most of the time with the amount coming in at once during a shop update, it's very difficult for me to find the double orders. So I really, really appreciate if you email me about, combining them. And also vice versa. I know there are some people, for example, from the UK who would like to have their orders shipped in several packages to undergo a certain threshold for customs, we can do that as well. But please email me about it as well, just so I know. And I don't think you have maybe wanted me to combine them or anything. It's always better to send one more or leave an order comment or something. It's always better to have more info than too little, I guess. Yeah, and I'm happy to accommodate for that. I can totally adjust everything and combine your orders and all of that. But yeah, a little info is always very, very appreciated. Um, I guess that is most of it for the launch info. I will also put all of the info about the base on my base page that is on my website. I will link it also down below. So you can reference back all of the base, the yardage, and everything, just so you can have everything in written form. Plus, I will also add some pattern suggestions, which I will also have, different bundles on Ravelry, where I put a lot of patterns inside so you can get inspired in case you just like the base and you don't really know what to knit with it. I should have relatively good lists ready for you when these videos go up, and I will link them down below just so you can find the pattern suggestion lists and can reference them. Obviously, I'll also add my sample that I'll show more in depth in the other preview video about the yarn. I will add that one to Ravelry as well. So if you're curious about needle size, yarn amount needed, and all that jazz, just reference to my Ravelry projects. I should have all info linked there if I'm not forgetting. But no, I'm doing my best to put all the info there. And I guess that is it for today's video. Thank you so much. I hope you will also check out the little info video about this new base that I'm so incredibly happy about. So as always, if there is something that I haven't covered in this video that you're curious about or need help with choosing the right amounts or patterns, always feel free to email me at hello@woolentwine.com, which I will also link down below. That's always the easiest to reach me, as it can be tricky for me to monitor DMs on Instagram or YouTube comments during launch weeks, because after all, uh, there's only me answering all of your messages, and I'm, sometimes it can be a lot in launch weeks. So email is always the best and helps me to keep things organized and structured. So yeah, I really appreciate anyone who will take the time to just write a quick email instead of messaging me or writing a comment on YouTube, just because it's much easier for me. So thank you so much for listening to my woolly rambles today. I hope you had a good time with your knitting and your favorite beverage, potentially. So thank you so much, and I guess see you next week for the launch. Bye!